3 weeks ago, I left my home country, Norway, to move to Bali alone as a 22-year-old entrepreneur. My goal was to see if a new environment would help me further grow my business and also see if this whole digital nomad hype is legit or just a waste of energy. And in this video, I will go over my 5 biggest takeaways from living here in Bali alone. Number 1, you get used to almost everything and then it's just normal. So before I came to Bali, a big thought of mine was that a completely new environment and culture was going to take too much of my time and headspace, so I could not focus on the business, but I would just focus on where to get the food, where to wash my clothes, my next place to live, and all these new things that come with moving to another country. Back home in Norway, of course, I knew every store. I always went to the same gym. I worked in the same places, and everything was just a normal routine. And of course, this is in some way true. When you come to a new country, the first days are completely new. You need to find a good place to sleep, where to train, and also, of course, the culture is different. But in my experience, I got used to the new culture and I came into a routine much faster than I thought I would. After 2 days, I was basically working the same amount of hours I did back home. I had found some good restaurants I could eat at, and you find a gym to work out in. And after just 5 or 6 days, everything was basically normal again. I had already joined a co-working space and I had found some people to talk to and eat with. And a little story about that. A very nice dude I met here, which I also would call a friend from now. His name is Daniel. One day when we ate lunch together at a terrace, we actually discussed this. There we sat 2 random people from completely different countries in a foreign country overlooking the whole city with their ocean view in 30 degrees and sun, and eating good healthy food that cost 1/3 of the price of what it would cost back home. In the view we could see all the expensive villas, we could see all the cheap housing, we could see all the traffic that was going by, and we discussed this topic, how weird it was that this was just the norm now. We had already ate and watched this view multiple times. The traffic we was used to, the new culture wasn't a shock anymore, and this was just a daily routine. And bear in mind, this wasn't even 1 week into the trip, and still it just felt normal. And it's a bit interesting because most people say it takes around 21 days to get used to new habits. And maybe this is a bit different, but when you're forced into a new environment and new culture and habits, I think you tend to get used to it pretty quick because you really don't have a choice. All this to say, in my opinion, you get used to new environment and situations really quick. Number 2. And this is about how much time and energy you can save on not making food or cleaning yourself. And this may be directed to other new entrepreneurs who may live in Europe or US but does not have the money yet to buy expensive services like eating out every day, getting people to clean your apartment, or doing your laundry for you. But here in Bali, this is very cheap. Back home in Norway, I had to make every meal myself, 3 times a day. I cooked, I cleaned after myself. When the apartment got dirty, I needed to wash it myself. And 2 to 3 times a week, I had to wash my own clothes, hang them up for dry, and also put the clothes in my closet. I never really thought that this was something that I could not do. But of course, here in Bali, you most likely live in a guest house or maybe even a villa. But even for me, living in a guest house for around $800 a month, they clean my room almost every day. When I need to wash my clothes, I just put the clothes outside my door, and the next day they come back clean, folded, and it cost almost the same as running the electricity for my washing machine back home in Norway. And also the big obvious thing, eating. Here in Bali, restaurants are very cheap. For this whole 3-week period, I have not touched the kitchen one single time. I have ate out at restaurants and different cafes 3 times a day, every single day. And this does not only save time, but it saves so much headache of washing the dishes afterwards, going to the grocery store, buying the items, actually cooking the items. Here you just go to a restaurant, you order whatever you want, and if you don't really care about food, you can get it really cheap. But also if you value high quality foods like I do, they serve them at almost every restaurant, and it's the same price as if you would buy it and cook it for yourself, especially for me back in Norway. And for a fun mental exercise, if you usually do all this stuff yourself, imagine that the next week you did not cook even once, you never touched your laundry, your room was just cleaned, and every time you saw your room was messy, you just went out of the house and when you came back, it was just clean. Imagine how much headspace and time that saves for you. And the best thing is that it's not even expensive. In my experience, if you have $2.5K a month to spend here in Bali, you live very comfortable. Then you could eat at every restaurant without really looking at the price. You have your own scooter, you work at a nice co-working space, a nice gym, and a pretty decent place to live. If you want to lower the standard a little bit, you could pay around $2K a month and you will still live a very comfortable life, but maybe you can't go to the high-end gyms and choose the better restaurants every single day. But either way, comparing this $2,000 to $2,500 a month to what I got back in Norway is not even a close debate, especially if you have much stress and many tasks to do, as you probably do if you have your own business like me. This is maybe the most valuable thing that you will get from living in a place like Bali. Number 3, the power of having like-minded people around you. And this was also a very big one for me. Personally, back home in Norway, I do not have many entrepreneurial friends. Of course, I have good friends that I enjoy talking to and hanging out with, but most of them are not on the same journey as me, and I rarely get to talk and discuss about different business topics, how to deal with different stress that comes with doing business, but also having people ahead of you that has already been through the problems you are going through now. Here in Bali, especially if you sign up for a co-working space, you will for sure be surrounded by other entrepreneurs. And it's very likely that many of them will do much better than you. And in my experience, most of them that actually come to co-working space are really open to talk to you and help you out. I have many people here who has taken a kind of a mentor role for me, but also just being friends with a lot of people that are on the same journey. Once or twice, basically every single day, we eat in a small group around 2 to 5 people, and we just talk about business, life, what we struggle with, help each other think through our problems. And this is honestly something that I have not had before. Back home, not many people can relate to the problems I'm facing because they're simply not on the same path. And I'll give you a very simple example. Just a couple of days ago, we had this kind of mastermind where we all shared what we was working on and what our struggle was. And I mentioned that I had an idea of making a very simple software that would help my clients get better results. And when I mentioned it, there were 3 other software engineers in the room who asked me follow-up questions and made me actually plan out the idea and validate the idea. And they gave me advice and showed me exactly what tools I could use to actually make this software as fast as possible. And I honestly didn't think I was gonna make this software because I have no experience in coding. I don't even know if Python or JSON is, but they showed me how I could make this program just using AI software, and it would only basically take around 10 to 20 hours, and I can have my clients using it already. And this would most likely not happen if I was back in Norway. I don't think I know any engineers personally, and going out on business events or things like this is basically unheard of in my city. And also, when they walk past me, they check on me if I actually do the work, and they push you to do action quicker and move forward faster. And this has honestly been super helpful for me. I'm not this crazy disciplined guy that just can sit in a room all by himself, just work 12 hours a day, but having people around me helps a lot. I'll also mention that you will never get judged for working too much, not going out in the weekends, or doing some type of program to try and improve your life. For example, right now I actually do 75 hard. If you don't know what that is, you basically train twice a day. You cannot drink alcohol. You do not have a single cheat meal. You have to drink a gallon of water and read 10 pages every single day for 75 days straight. If you even miss one single task, you have to start over. I'll be super honest, I tried this back in Norway, but along the way I actually got some weird looks and some comments from people around me thinking that what I did was stupid or unnecessary or too extreme, but here I have never once got a comment like that. And before I go to the next point, I have to mention that I can't really count how many new different experiences I've had with people, which has opened my mind to all different things and aspects of life that I've never thought about. Because in my opinion, we all have limiting beliefs and even just assumptions of how we should live life. Some people say you shouldn't work 7 days a week. Some people say you should eat a pizza if you've done a good job at work. And this was one thing for me. I never thought that you could actually just travel around, working in different countries, experiencing new experiences all the time. And also a big thing for me or share different opinions that you have because you're afraid of what other people will say or judge you for. But there are so many people here that look at life completely different. They don't see a problem of working towards your goal 7 days a week. They don't go and eat junk food just because they had a good day. And of course, a big one, the idea of not posting something because of the opinions of other people is completely out of their minds, and they really don't care. And being around people like this opens your mind so much and has helped me in many different situations, because all these different shoulds and cannots are programmed into our mind from an early age. But many of these rules are also just stupid. And of course, I'm talking about social rules, not legal rules. But just the thought that why wouldn't I post this video where I actually talk about my own opinions that I really think, just because maybe a random guy would say that they disagree online. Of course, it's stupid when you say it like that, but why do so many people, including me, not do stuff like this? So yes, just being around people who think differently does transmit over to you. And I will put the little Hormozi quote because he will explain it better than I can.
I was really debating tweeting something, and I was about to not do it, and I showed Layla. I was like, I don't feel like stirring shit. And she looked at me in one of those kind of like clairvoyant moments that sometimes you have in your relationships, and she was like, never dilute yourself. And it just reminded me of this other quote, which is, it's better to be hated for who you are than loved for who you're not.
Number 4, how a new environment can restart habits. So this one can be pretty obvious, but I want to talk about it because it's very hard to change yourself if you're in the same environment you've always been in. For example, for me, the day I arrived in Bali, I completely stopped 2 big unhealthy habits that I had back home. And it wasn't even that hard. When I arrived, I basically just stopped thinking about them. And Chris Williamson actually talks about this, how in World War II, a big percentage of soldiers got addicted to heroin. And everybody thought that it was going to be this big crisis of soldiers coming back to the US and everybody was going to be a heroin addict. But the opposite was true. A big percentage of the soldiers, when they came back, just completely stopped the heroin addiction because the environment was completely changed, so they didn't have the urge of continuing the bad habit. And for me, it almost feels like a bit of a restart because everything is new and you know nobody and nobody knows you. So if you change your behavior from what you were doing before, nobody will look weird at you because they don't even know that you were not like that before. Because of course we all care about opinions of other people. And if I overnight changed my behavior completely with my old environment, people would look weird at me. They would say, oh, you've changed. And in my experience, this has held me back and most likely holds many people back from doing things that they want to do but are afraid of being judged. But moving 20 hours away from your home country does help with that. And lastly, this might be a bit of a weird one, but I want to talk about happy Balinese people. So of course, Norway is a pretty rich country. The normal salary in Norway, I think, is around $4,000 a month. And here in Bali, the normal salary for a local person is around $400 a month, aka 10 times less than what people back home make. And most Balinese people work 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And most of them have never been outside of Indonesia. They've not been on a holiday. They've not seen the Eiffel Tower, they've not been in Rome, and many of them even struggle to afford anything else than food and shelter. Just to be clear, of course, now I'm speaking from watching from the outside. I can't really tell how they actually feel on the inside, but it honestly seems that these people are more happy than people in Western countries. And maybe even me. I'm all the time stressing about different things. I'm anxious about the future. What if this happened? What if I don't reach my goal? What if AI takes over everything? And it doesn't take more than walking down the street in Norway or taking the bus to work to see that everybody just looks more sad and serious compared to driving around here in Bali, where people will smile at you when you get eye contact with anybody. They light up and say hello, even though when on paper their situation is way worse than people back home. I'll give you an example. 2 days ago, I went to the barber. Let me know what you think. But there were 4 people working there, but only one of them worked on my hair. The rest just constantly laughed and joked with each other. They played different games and were just bantering all the time. Even though most likely some of them was on their 11th hour of their work shift, They were still just happy, having fun, and joking around. And just today I said, "How are you?" in Indonesian when I went to the gym, and I can't explain the joy and the laughter they had when I said it to them. Compared to back in Norway, some people will even look at you weird because you have a different accent and you're trying to speak Norwegian and you really can't. I honestly feel that is such interesting. That situation does not relate anything to how happy you are. And of course this may not be a big thing, but for me it gives me perspective that you actually don't need to achieve a certain goal or a certain place in life to actually let yourself be happy. I often catch myself stealing joy away from myself in the everyday life just because I'm not where I want to be yet. In the start, it was I will be happy when I earn my first $1. Then it was I will be happy when I earn $1,000 a month. Then I said once my business reaches my previous work salary, then it will all be good. And then I said when I win this business competition Skool Games, after that, then I will be happy. But I just keep pushing it away. And being here has made me realize that maybe there is another way. Of course, having drive and not being content is a whole nother thing. But that doesn't mean that I need to be this serious person, not have fun, just because I'm not rich in my own head yet. And I'm paraphrasing Hormozi now. But saying you will be happy after you achieve X is a contract you make with yourself that guarantees you will not be happy, which is a stupid contract to set for yourself.
We all know the happiness formula, which is when this happens, I'll be happy, right? When X, I'll be happy. Or if X, I'll be happy. I feel like the hot button on joy for me is what I'm doing right now. So like I haven't done the event yet. When I'm putting that work in and doing the reps, like that's when I'm actually my most in flow and enjoying myself the most. And so it's actually a lie that I've been telling myself that like once the presentation goes well, I'll feel good. Because in some ways now I feel like when the presentation happens, I'll be disappointed because I won't get to do this anymore.
So that's all for this video. If you liked the video, please comment down below where you're watching from, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.